Welcome back guys on my YouTube channel. Lately, the off-road sector has been really booming with so many companies investing lots in R&D for bikes dedicated for adventure riding. Today, we find ourselves with Royal Enfield in Sardinia. This is a brand that has really differentiated and has created its own identity with bikes that have a unique character and design, but also the vibe they transmit to the rider. I'm here with the brand new Himalayan 450, a really interesting bike. It's not a full adventure bike, but wants to be a very approachable bike, easy and versatile in order to be used from different types of riders. I really can't wait to start the test ride because from a design point of view, I think they made a bike that's very compact and that doesn't scare anyone. So looking even at the seat height, it's a bike that can be perfect for many different heights. It doesn't have a lot of plastics and unnecessary things, so it's all the essential you need. Royal Enfield doesn't miss out on the possibility to customize with accessories your Himalayan 450. So we have here, for example, the bigger windshield for a better aerodynamic protection, especially if we're going on the road, and all the luggage to turn it in a real globetrotter for traveling. Nevertheless, you have also added engine protection and a series of really stylish merchandising. In my opinion, the Himalayan 450 has a very classical look that has been brought in modern days, but at the same time, it's a very pleasing bike to look at. In my opinion, having ridden it yet, I can't say how it feels to ride, but sitting on it, I must say it transmits me a feeling like I'm Indiana Jones. There are some really nice and useful features of this bike, like the handlebar commands, really simple, easy to understand. We don't have, like on other bikes, 100 buttons where initially we don't know what we need to press. It's very intuitive. And at the center of our handlebar, we have a useful USB-C port, because nowadays all our smartphone and smart devices have USB-C charging, but on many other bikes we still see the old AC plug. So very nice for Royal Enfield to put this USB-C port and in a very comfortable position, because it's here on the handlebar, not on the tower, because most devices get placed like your smartphone here on the handlebar, meaning that the port is very close to your devices and you won't have all wires going around. Sitting down on the bike, ergonomically, I find it extremely comfortable sitting down because the shape of the tank lets you have your knees very close to the center of the bike. The handlebar has a bend that goes towards the rider, so not having to lean forward to hold your handlebar. The brake lever and the clutch lever have a big surface, and I like the feeling I have when I go to pull them because I have a good grip. Same goes with the foot pegs. Foot pegs are really big, but the rear brake is just gigantic, so you'll never miss the rear brake. The only thing I'm not so convinced about is the riding standing up. We have a great grip on the foot pegs. The only problem at the moment, not having ridden it, is I don't understand where I will be positioned when I'm riding standing up. The handlebar is quite low. I prefer low handlebars rather than really big and tall ones, because when the handlebar is too high, it's great to ride it standing up, but when you sit down and you need to enter a turn, the bike is much more difficult to insert in turns. This means that for me, I like the handlebar and I like having my body a bit on the front. I feel I have more control, but I guess we'll discover soon how this bike feels off-road. Quick pause on the video. All the onboard footage that you're seeing, even facing myself, I shot it with the GoPro, and with these two brackets. This is a neck bracket, and that is where you see me ride the point of view. I think this was very cool because under the helmet was really immersive because you could see exactly the dashboard and the road. I know I look maybe a bit like a doctor with this on, but it was really useful because I got a new point of view I didn't get in the previous videos. Then on the bike I mounted this bracket that I can move around and play around with the different angles and point of views. And I wanted to thank Telesins because they sent out these products to test, and I can say, as you've seen in the onboard videos, that they gave me some really nice point of views. So for future press launches and videos, I'm definitely gonna use these products again. I'll leave the link in the description if you're interested in them. I'm sure this kind of bracket, many have already seen it, whereas this is pretty new. Furthermore, this can be used not only for your GoPro, but if you put a different RAM mount, you can also use it for motorbike accessories. There are many brackets like these, most of them made all in plastic, but what made this a lot different is the rubber, the good rubber you have inside here when you clamp it to a tube. But most of all, this being aluminum and the fact that the ball head has this big O-ring means that when you're on the motorbike and you have really lots of vibrations, this won't end up tipping over when you have the GoPro or anything else mounted, because the rubber makes a good friction and gives it great sturdiness. Well, there's really a lot to say on this Royal Enfield Himalayan 450cc. Starting from the engine, it's 452cc and it has 40 horsepower. The total weight of the bike without liquids is 181 kilograms, which could worry some of you, but I'll talk to you about the weight later. Then we have 17-liter tank, and this gets you more than 400 kilometers of fuel autonomy, so the consumption on this bike is very low thanks to a very smooth and gentle engine. We have then front 43mm Showa forks and rear Showa shock, both not adjustable, so we cannot intervene on the suspensions. Then we have 4 riding modes, performance and eco, and these 2 riding modes you have also the option to have it without the ABS, but only on the rear. This personally was something that was worrying me before I started the test today, but I'll talk to you about this later. Moving on, we have a TFT dashboard that has a lot of functionality, and the best part is that you can connect it to your smartphone and see the Google Maps directly on the dashboard. So not only the turn by turn, but you can see actually the map, and through the joystick on the handlebar, you can zoom in and zoom out on the map while you're riding. Furthermore, it seems that in the future there will be added compatibility of other apps that will work on the dashboard. So this will be very interesting, especially if there will be a compatibility with importing GPX files. On the suspensions, we have 200mm travel and the ground clearance is 230mm. The seat height is either 82 or 84 centimeters with the standard seat. Now you're seeing the bike with the optional rally seat, so one-piece seat, and this brings it, I think, to 86, but if I'm wrong, Giacomo will correct me. And together with the seat, you get all this rear bodywork, which to me looks really cool. Another accessory that is on this bike is the exhaust. This gives it the real rally look, but also makes a prettier sound. We're at the end of our test of the new Himalayan 450, and I have so much to say about this bike. But first, I want you to think that this is a bike that in Italy comes for a price of only 5,900 euros. So you have to get into the mentality that for sure some things are missing, like the adjustable suspensions, but I'll speak about the performance of these. What you see is what you get, and the philosophy of Royal Enfield is to build a reliable bike, usable by any skill level rider, from the newbie to the expert rider, and to do so with a unique character. A very interesting fact is that Royal Enfield was born in 1901, is one of the oldest motorbike manufacturers in the world. This means that when they started off, they didn't have any inspiration because they were one of the first manufacturers, and they kept that mindset. You can see it on this bike, because nowadays is the best moment in history probably for adventure bikes and dual sport bikes, but you see a lot of motorbike brands a bit copying certain details, and some bikes almost seem very similar. The Royal Enfield Himalayan, you look at it and you immediately see there's no inspiration from any other bike, and this makes it very unique, like certain features it has, from the USB-C port directly on the handlebar to the rear tail light, which in my opinion improves safety when we are riding on the road, because instead of having one single light, we have the turn indicators that are quite big but also act as the rear light and the brake light. This, while we were riding today, made the riders in front of me with the Himalayan so much more visible, and this is something I always worry when I ride on the road, is that someone coming behind with a car won't see me, and having this solution makes you much more visible. The weight can preoccupy some of you because it weighs 181 kilos without liquids. The bike is very robust, but at the same time this adds weight. Having at 5,900 euros already crash bars, stock and other details adds a bit of weight, but this in the riding you don't feel it that much because the weight is pretty low. Yes, you have a big 17-liter tank and you can feel a bit when it's full, but as soon as you use 3-4 liters, the bike immediately feels much easier to handle. Other stock features are like having the dual stand. You have the side stand, but also the central stand. This can be extremely useful if you go and ride off-road. Like the crash bars. These crash bars have these sections, but thanks to these features, you can put on both sides of the bike, strap here some extra spare tubes, and in case you get a flat tire, you can use the central stand to go and remove the wheel and change it, because Royal Enfield even placed under the seat the socket in order for you to remove the wheels. Small refined detail, but I personally would love to see on more adventure bikes. But let's speak about the engine. Surely it's not the most powerful 450 out there, and it doesn't want to be the most powerful 450. But actually it wants to be a very easy bike that won't scare you. You might think this is a bike only for newbies and people that don't have that much experience, thanks to the smoothness when you're opening the throttle. We have the ride-by-wire on this bike, and the power delivery is very consistent, never aggressive. The bike runs at very low RPM, so you tend to have a gear more, and we have 6 gear ratios, so a wide range to find the perfect gear for every situation. But even though when we go at very low RPM, there's enough torque to always bring you out and start delivering power, but it does it in such a consistent way. Even an experienced off-road rider can have incredible fun on this, because this is the perfect bike to drift. And today here in Sardinia, basically any turn I would see, I would make the bike drift, because the center of gravity is very low. The power delivery is very smooth, and you never get halfway through the turn when you're making it drift that immediately you feel the power going up, and this makes it easy and extremely fun. Suspension wise, we can't adjust the forks. It's a 43mm Showa fork, and we have also a rear Showa shock, but today we tried to push it over its limits. We went and did a WRC jump that I was hitting full throttle in 4th gear, and even when I landed it didn't bottom out. So the suspensions exceeded my expectations. When I tried the same jump doing it downhill and getting more air, it bottomed out, but it was an extreme situation. But in off-road riding, even going at a good speed as you've seen in the videos, we always had a good control of the bike. Handling wise instead, I felt a big difference between the OEM seat and this optional rally seat. Basically, the OEM seat is in 2 pieces, extremely comfortable. And with the OEM seat in 2 pieces, on the road, I was sitting down and never felt I wanted to stand up. But at the same time, what happened is when I was riding off-road and standing up, I couldn't really find a good position for my legs, and being here wider, it made it a bit more difficult to handle when I was trying to change direction while standing up. With the rally seat, I felt a huge difference. Like, if you are planning to get this bike to do a good amount of off-road, this is a must-have optional because it completely changes the handling of the bike. Even you wouldn't think that just a seat would change it so much, because here it's narrower. It makes standing up easier because you have less gap because this is slightly higher. But mostly when you're trying to handle and move the bike standing up on the seat, you have more control and you have a wider range where you can move with your legs. I also like that with the rally seat, then you can get all this body work, which gives it a more racing look. Like the exhaust, this reminds me of the early 2000s rally exhaust with this muffler with this nice end. This exhaust looks much nicer. You can have it either in black like this or in gray. You have here the carbon protector. It makes a better sound. Performance wise, it doesn't make a huge difference. It makes the bike a bit more vivid in acceleration, but to a certain extent, and you don't really feel any difference when you're at high speeds. If I had to tell you what I wasn't in love with was the rear brake pedal. Actually, I have mixed feelings because I love the fact that it's so wide and you can always reach it easily, but it's a bit too far out. What would happen to me with the motocross boot is that I would end up putting the point of my boot when trying to brake on this small tip instead of on the pedal. This was my bike. What I would do, I would take down the pedal and bend it a bit more inside so that I wouldn't end up catching here. Another detail on which I have mixed feelings is the dashboard. I love the fact that we have the Google Maps connectivity. We can see the map and with the joystick we can move in and move out. I like the vintage look of the round TFT, but with the modern features. What I didn't really like is that when we put the Google Maps, we need to keep the screen of our phone on. So when we go and put our phone inside the pocket, the screen will be on. This will drain a bit the battery. Yes, we have here on the handlebar a very smart solution of USB-C port that lets you ride and have your phone in your pocket and run the cable directly in your pocket, compared to other solutions on other bikes where you have the USB ports on the tower, and that makes it impossible to ride with a phone in your pocket. But this is only if you want to see the full Google Maps screen. If you want the turn by turn, you won't need to have your phone with the screen on. Same to get with the notifications. Even if the screen is off, you'll get all the notifications of calls and messages directly on the display. Clearly, guys, also speaking about the brakes, these have improved compared to the previous model, but they're not exceptional. At this price point, you cannot expect to have MotoGP brakes. You have to keep this in mind when riding, because when you're off-road, you need to prepare your entering in the turn. Here in this test, we went with the road tires. I would be curious to try them with more off-road tires. Even if these tires are clearly not made for this type of gravel, we managed to have fun and we managed not to lay down the bike, and actually no one in my group and not even in the other group laid down the bike. But this is a bike thought even for laying it down. That's why you don't have any unnecessary extra plastic parts, and I think this is also the beauty of this bike. I believe that at this price point, at 5,900 euros, there's nothing better you can buy if you want to start doing adventure riding, or also if you want a bike that is just simple, reliable, with no thousand farkles, and that motivates you to go ride more. Because this is the biggest sensation I felt with this bike. It's so easy. The proportion is just perfect because it's a small, narrow bike, and I feel that this would be like the perfect daily drive, not only for the riding, because we've shown in the video it's pretty capable off-road, because I believe even if you live in big cities, this is a bike you'll feel confident leaving on the side of the road without worrying about things getting stolen, because everything comes stock on the bike. There's not really a necessity to buy many accessories. The ones I would buy definitely would be the seat, the bodywork, and the exhaust. Well, guys, let me know down in the comments what you think about this bike. I've enjoyed it, and at this price point, as I mentioned, I believe there's nothing better, more solid, and more reliable than this bike, and someone like me that does off-road motocross and Dakar and so on, I managed to enjoy myself and have fun. So I hope some of you will get the chance to test it as well, and let me know your thoughts. Be sure to subscribe to the channel, but also to my Instagram profile, where you get live updates like here when we go on tests with manufacturers. Thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Ciao!